Welcome to Over the Top Rope with the Masked Saint. The story I'm going to tell you is actually one of the stories in my book, The Masked Saint, and it's entitled The Undertaker. I was wrestling in Dallas one Friday night, and when I wrestled on Friday night, I would take my girls with me. I have a wife and two daughters, and they would go with me. And after I wrestled, they'd meet me in the parking lot, and then we would go and do Friday night fun night. And my girls really look forward to that. Well, on this particular Friday night, I wrestled. I went back to the dressing room. I was getting undressed, and the promoter came in and said that the guy who was going to work against Mark Calloway, who is the Undertaker, had travel difficulties and was not going to be able to make it, and he needed someone to wrestle twice that night. And I raised my hand. I said, I'll do it. I mean, this guy, is one of the biggest stars that they've ever had in wrestling, and what a thrill to work against somebody like that. He was WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and I think he's been in just about every one of the WrestleManias over the last 25 years. So anyway, I got the referee, and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to work again. I don't want my family to leave. Will you go out and find them and ask them to stay? Tell them I'm going to work again. And so he went out. He knew my wife, and he found her, and he came back. He said, I found them. They're going to wait. I said, this is going to be so fun, because they'd never seen Mark. They'd never seen the Undertaker, and they didn't know what to expect. Well, I had to get into the ring first because he was the star. The lights went down, and that hideous music came on, and Mark came through the door. And I found my wife and girls in the crowd, and I just wanted to see their expression when they saw Mark. And when they saw him, my wife's eyes got so big, and both my little girls looked, and they started crying. And then my wife, real frantically, grabbed her purse and started going through the purse. Well, I wrestled Mark. We went about 20 minutes. It was a great match, and I was thrilled with it. And so we left that night, and we're headed back to Fort Worth. And I looked in the rearview mirror, and both my girls were asleep. And we were driving. My wife, I said, hey, right before that match, I saw you grab your purse, and you were frantically going through the purse. What were you doing? And she thought for a minute, and she said, oh, I was looking for the checkbook to make sure you had paid the insurance. When she told me that, I was thinking, hey, I just wrestled a guy who's 6'8". He weighed 315 pounds. You could have at least said, hey, you did a great job tonight. She could have at least told me how proud she was of me. But she's the best critic that I have in my life. I'll never forget, I got fired as a youth minister. I was the world's worst youth minister. I got fired as a youth minister, got back into wrestling way before I should have. I wasn't in shape. I tore my ACL. We're living with my folks. I mean, it's just embarrassing. And my leg is, up on a thing, and it's a Sunday morning, and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And my wife comes out. Our little girl, our first little girl, was just weeks old. And she laid her down on the couch, and she took these dresses and started putting them on her. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm going to get our baby dressed, and I'm going to go find a church somewhere, and I'm going to worship. And I said, after what they did to me? And I haven't seen my wife mad very many times, but I'll never forget. She turned around, her nostrils were flared, and she looked at me and she said, Chris, look what they did to Jesus. Why do you think you're so special? Proverbs 28:23 says, he who rebukes a man will afterwards find more favor than he who flatters with the tongue. Do you have someone in your life who is completely honest with you? If you do, thank God for that person. And that, my friends, is a blessing to teach you a lesson. God bless you.